Welcome, everyone, to the Apoco-Larry podcast. I'm Steve. He is
Lawrence. Or Lawrence of Canada. It doesn't quite work.
What do you ride as Lawrence of Canada? I ride in on a moose.
Yes, as all good Canadians do.
That's right. With a beaver under each arm, going, "Take that! I'll take on all of you." Sorry, folks. We're a little testy in Canada these days. I'm sorry. Don't mind us. We'll get over it. We'll be friends again one day.
We will be friends.
Today, my friend, we're talking about 1 Samuel 8.
Yes. And for Samuel 8, we're now finally moving out of the period of the judges into the period of the kings. So yes. if you're following, we had Joshua in the land. Joshua came out of the land, and you have the period of the judges.
Yep.
About 360 years.
Yep. And
the final judge is Samuel. And now he's an old man now, probably 60, because that's what the Bible says. He grew old. They figure he was about 65 years old when this chapter takes place.
Oh, he was a young man then.
Yes. Youngish.
Yeah, he could have been a registrar.
At the King's University. Yes, he could.
Yes, yeah. It's appropriately named.
And he would have. Yes, that is true. When they asked for a king. But we should start to read, or we're never going to get into this thing.
We're just having fun tonight, folks. If you could have heard the pre-show, you wouldn't want to have heard the pre-show, by the way. Anyway, never mind. So, folks, 1 Samuel 8, starting at verse 1, because that seems the most logical place to start. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as Israel's leaders. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abijah. And they served at Beersheba, which we have seen before. But his sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice.
Yeah, so intriguingly, his sons were not as bad as Eli's sons, but he had about the same experience with his sons that Eli had with his.
Yeah.
And the people did not want his sons in charge.
Yeah.
But later on, you're going to find when God talks about this, he doesn't talk about these bad sons at all.
Yeah.
He has a whole different reason for them wanting a king. So it's kind of intriguing. I forgot. I was going to look it up, and I forgot to. Where is it that they were asking for a king? Is it later in this book, or is it somewhere else? Where it's finally get down to the bramble bush and the bramble. And it actually comes up a couple times in Scripture, where all the fruit-bearing tree says, "I don't want to be a king. I have a purpose." And then the bramble bush says, "Yeah, I'd love to be your king. I got nothing going on in my life." As we move into elections in Canada, we can remember this.
Yes. Regardless of where they're held in the world. By the way, the bramble bush is in every election.
Yes, there's always a bramble.
Verse 4 now, folks. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have."
Yeah, so it's kind of intriguing. They want to be like all the other nations, right? They want to have this king. So,
verse 6. But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you that they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods. So they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly, and let them know that the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights."
Yeah, and so you see, the people didn't. It seems like the people didn't want Saul's kids, and that's why they asked for a king. And Saul is quite upset about that, so he goes to God and asks why. And then God says, "It's nothing to do with you, actually. They don't want me," which is interesting, isn't it? Because the story doesn't lead you in that direction. It leads you that your kids are no good, so we'd like a king.
Yeah, yeah. You would think that like Sam would go, well, look, we can find others. Like, but no, that's not what they want. They simply want to be like the nations around them. They want to be led
Yeah,
by some.
yeah. And then God says, no, they've not followed me. They've forsaken me ever since Egypt. You
Yeah,
know, they've always forsaken me. And you remember when Samuel tries to get them to turn back to God so that they can defeat the Philistines in that one battle. Philistines are still around,
yeah.
but when they turn back to God, the first thing they have to do is get rid of their Baals and their Ashtoreths. Their idols and their gods.
They're right back
And
at it. Yeah,
yeah, and that's why God's saying, look, these people, they never really wanted me.
yeah, yeah.
They can't handle it. You can't handle the truth.
you, you can't handle monotheism.
Yeah, and they obviously can't,
Yeah,
which is interesting. Yeah,
I mean, it just speaks so much to the Lord's patience for these people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it? Yeah. Remember to Moses, he said, oh, I can just do away with all of them. We can start again. And Moses said, no, let's hang on to these people,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is interesting as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, verse 10. Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking for a king. He said, this is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses. They will run in front of his chariots. He will assign some to be commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day.
Yeah. So he tells them exactly what a king does. And looking from a distance, all they're seeing is, hey, they have this powerful leader. We want that. But
Right.
but I guess they never got close to see what a king actually demands of his people.
Yeah.
And this is what they get with their kings. Even the good ones, even the
Yeah.
good kings, demand all this because they got to keep the whole thing working, right? So you got to have more taxes and more taxes. Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of that somewhere before.
Huh. Huh.
Yeah, but it is interesting how he lays out what it is to serve a king.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so true, right? Like he lays this negative picture, and then we come to verse 19.
yeah.
But the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want a king over us. Then we'll be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go before us and fight our battles.
Funny, eh? They who in their right mind ever thinks a king's going to lead them into battle unless, well, Alexander the Great, he did that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he was the only one that I know of.
yeah, yeah. Most of
Yeah.
them led from behind.
Yes. Yeah. And that's exactly what he says. They're going to be with the chariots and they're going to run in front of the chariots.
Yeah.
And I hope they can run very well because chariots move fairly quickly. Yeah, it's just he paints this awful picture. But they got it in their head they want a king.
It's a sad, sad moment in so many ways, right? This is them.
Oh, keep going.
No, it's just them once more, just rejecting God once more.
Oh yeah, and we're going to read about this, all the way through First and Second Chronicles and First and Second Kings, and Second Samuel for that matter,
Yeah.
and First Samuel, all the way from here on in. It's going to be, one crappy king after another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Verse 21. When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, listen to them and give them a king. Then Samuel said to the Israelites, everyone go back to your own town.
Yeah. Yep. Head back. We're going to find you a king. And now he's going to go out and he's going to find this lovely, lovely, handsome man named Saul. big and tall and handsome. And he's a pretty good king for a little while. For a very little while.
Just a little smidge, and then it all goes awry.
Israel's fate's about to change.
Yeah.
That's the end.
That's the end. Wow. My friend, thanks for that. It's a sobering thing because we can see it in retrospect. But how many times have we done it on an individual level? Have we done it on a corporate level?
We can see it in current politics. People have a thing that they're hoping is going to happen, and they vote that way.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see what happens to Canada in the next little while.
Yeah.
Has he called the election yet?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
for those of you listening to this later on, we're in the beginning days of the writ period. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed listening to that. I hope it's kind of sobering to just think through what Israel was doing to their God. Folks, as always, we're so thankful that you listen to us. We're so encouraged by that. We very much enjoy doing it. We enjoy doing the pre-show too, don't get us wrong, but we enjoy doing this part too. For those of you listening along with us in almost real time, we're going to take a little 3-week break here as Steve heads off to other shores. Hey, that's me. But then we'll be back after that and we'll pick it up, and then you'll get to see the results of Israel asking for a king and where that leads. So, hey, we'll be back in a little while. So thanks so much for listening. Until then, I was Steve, he was Larry, and this was the Apoco-Larry Podcast.